I've said it before and I'll say it again, I like aggro decks. I've got a sick historic deck to share with you that I've just been climbing with. Gruul aggro in historic. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to the day. Thank you for spending your time with us. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. I am Joel. If this is your first time here and you want to stay up to the minute with deck strategy for Standard, Pioneer, Commander, and Brawl, or you just want to see us open some booster packs or talk about MTG Finance, make sure you hit that subscribe button before you leave. Let's talk about Gruul aggro in historic. So, this deck has been bouncing around the internet for the last couple days, and I decided to give it a shot, and I have not been disappointed. Over here in our one-drop slot, we start Llanowar Elves or Pelt Collector. Fantastic opening play. Two-drop slot, this is our standout. Burning-Tree Emissary. Holy crap. We can Burning-Tree Emissary into a Zhur-Taa Goblin. We can Burning-Tree Emissary into a Paradise Druid, or an Elf or a Pelt Collector if we need to. It's just so good to put so many creatures onto the battlefield as soon as possible, because really the strategy here is get the board loaded up and then Embercleave our way home. Past that, we also have the Once Upon a Times, because it's an absolutely busted card that you want to play for free before you've played anything else. As you can see, it's banned in Standard and Traditional Standard. We got Bone Crusher Giant as a 2-of. I found that this card is fantastic, number one. But number two, in an aggro deck, it doesn't really work super great to have 4-of, because it kind of clogs up your hand and gets a little clunky. But as a 2-of, it's fantastic. It's another 4/3 for 3. It is so another creature that is just so aggro. When they want to remove it, it shocks them. Plus, you've got a 2-mana shock on the other side of it to get rid of some kind of blocker that's in your way. Spellbreaker, because it's a 4/4 for 3. Look, with these riot creatures, play these with their +1/+1 counters unless you are swinging for lethal on that turn. What you want to do is play them with the +1/+1 counters so that you've just got big creatures for cheap, making the Embercleave that much more valuable when you inevitably swing with it and cast it. Questing Beast, because it gets through most of the little early game stuff that they can play, and if we hit a Paradise Druid or a Llanowar Elf, we can play it on turn 3. Hellkite is more of a finisher in this deck. A lot of times I won't play it with the counter because I'll play this creature last. It'll fly over any of their blockers, but sometimes I do if we're going to have lethal next turn and we want them to use their removal spell on this, or we just need one more huge annoying threat on the battlefield. This can come in as a 5/5. Past that, we've got Embercleave, and this is the finisher. It's a 4-of in this deck, as you can see. You see, a lot of times we'll swing, with 2 creatures with 4 mana on the battlefield, play it for 4, and we're killing one of their blockers, and we're doing some damage. Once this hits, you should have the game locked up. This deck goes quick. I will say that. Let's swap over real fast and look at the sideboard for Veil of Summer, because it's not yet banned in Historic, excuse me. Not yet banned in Historic, and this card is dope. If you're playing against a blue or black deck, it can win you the game. Cinder Vines I like against the mirror match. I've used it to destroy opposing players' Embercleaves. Domri's Ambush if we're playing against a big creature deck and we want to kill all the things. Same thing with Domri. A lot of times if I'm playing against another creature-based deck, I'll bring in these 6 cards because it helps us clear the way so that our creatures can punch through. And then Ripjaw Raptor. This one is a tech that I've seen bouncing around the internet. It can help us with a longer game if, we take 2 Questing Beasts out and put Ripjaw Raptor in, especially against aggro decks that have 3 power or higher, so the Questing Beast isn't pushing through. This card can keep our hand filled up and really help us with a longer game. Let's jump into the gameplay that I recorded. It's a best of 3, and check out how the deck performs. Got a best of 3 of the Gruul Historic deck to show you. Unfortunately, we don't get to play first. We don't win the coin flip, but this is a solid opening hand. We're going to be able to play a tap land turn 1 and then Burning Emissary into a Druid on turn 2. Now, we see a Soul Warden out of the gate. We see an Ajani's Pridemate turn 2, and we're kind of not open to destroy this thing. We've got Bone Crusher, so we couldn't have hit the Pridemate. We could have possibly gone ahead and hit the Soul Warden there, but we don't want to lose any velocity with this deck just to kill some things, take off our turn 2. Our turn 2 and our turn 3 in this deck are pretty critical, and so we didn't want to take that time to destroy the Soul Warden. As you'll see, that ends up being a mistake. The Ajani's is now swinging for 7. We're going Okay, nice. We'll take the 7. We Bone Crusher here. We can go ahead and kill the Soul Warden, which is maybe what we should have done last turn. We don't really have many other options. They're not going to take our bait here and let us Bone Crusher down the Linden. The 7/7, we don't really have an answer for this. We're sitting here racking our brain. How do we get rid of that 7/7? It grew so quickly. Okay, we've got a Soul Warden now. A Resplendent Angel's hitting the battlefield. We go ahead and take out the Soul Warden, but it doesn't really matter because that thing, I mean, that was the quickest that a mono white life gain deck, I think, can go. So we're thinking here, what are we going to do? We have got to kill all the things. We're going to go first here, so we don't want to lose too much speed, so we do put 2 Paradise Druid back, but we do want to run a 4 of our removal spells so that we can hopefully get that Pride Mate before it takes out, or it takes off. It gets way too big. So we're going into game 2 here. We get to go first. That's pretty nice. We see our hand. It's a decent opening hand. You know, we've got our turn 2 Goblin. We've got a Domri on turn 3, which is as good as removal in our deck anyway. We want to definitely remove any Ajani that they play early on. So we see the Sarah Ascendant, we see another Goblin, which is nice. We're playing 3 3s for 2, which is awesome. We see the Orator. Okay, that's going to be a problem. That's an enabler for their deck. Every time a creature comes into play, they're gaining life. We get Domri. We're going to go ahead and kill the Orator because we're not interested in that. We also don't want to swing because we need our creatures on the battlefield. And there's the Pride Mate. So here we have some options. What do we have? We've got a Burning-Tree into a Goblin. We take 1 turn off maybe to try and build up enough to kill it with the Domri's downtick ability. We can load up our battlefield. That's as best we can do. We're pretty sure they're not going to block the Zhur-Taa. Number 1, they gain a ton of life. Number 2, they need both of their creatures because both of our decks are very aggressive creature-based decks. And they're done with it. We went first. We filled up the battlefield. We're going to be able to downtick our Domri next turn. The mono white life gain deck did not want to deal with it. So we run back the same deck. We like the build. It's got 2 Domri. It's got 4 of Domri's Ambush in it. We're still running 2 Once Upon a Time and 2 of the Druid in case we need to ramp up to our Embercleave. This is pretty much the dream opening hand. This is a fantastic opening hand for us. We can play Llanowar. Next turn we go Emissary into Goblin, or we can go ahead and play the Domri if we deem that more important. We go ahead and play the Domri here because we can go ahead and tick it up and start the whole thing going and get a second elf on the battlefield. So we got access to 6 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes, 6 mana next turn, which turns out to be very beneficial because we want to kill that Resplendent Angel. So we are going to uptick here. We'll just use the Burning-Tree. We'll use it as a removal spell. It kills the Angel. We play the land. We're swinging for 2. They're probably not going to block it with their Soul Warden because that Soul Warden is an engine in their deck. So by turn 3, we've got fantastic board position. They're not even playing anything. So do they have a Settle the Wreckage? We're going to have to play around Settle the Wreckage here, and that's okay. We don't mind it. We're going to uptick Domri. We don't want to lose our Domri just yet, especially when they're essentially taking a turn off to stay open maybe with their Settle the Wreckage. So we're going to tick Domri up and then wait on our opponent. We're wondering, are they salting us right now? Are they roping us right now? But just to play around it, we'll send 1 Llanowar Elf. That's completely fine. They take it, they go to 18, and they wasted a whole turn, maybe just to play a land. We're not really sure. So we see another Soul Warden. Now I see what they were going for. They wanted a Soul Warden and a Ajani in the same turn so that Ajani's Pride Mate has the best possible chance of surviving. We're going to play a land here. They are tapped out, which is notable, and we're gonna play a Ajani. So we're hoping maybe they had blocked with the Pride Mate. They didn't though, which was a good move for them. We end up taking out a Soul Warden and the Ajani though, which is awesome. Now here we have an interesting thing. We have our Embercleaved up Goblin. We don't want the Pride Mate on the battlefield though, and we're comfortable enough with our cards in hand, especially having another Domri in hand, that if we can just top deck another creature, the Embercleave can go on it. So we're willing to just get the Pride Mate out. We already got rid of the Ajani. We don't want the Pride Mate to grow any higher because once it's up in that 5 or higher territory, it gets very difficult for our deck to deal with it. We top deck a Domri's Ambush. This is fantastic, because now we can Domri's Ambush with an elf to kill the angel and swing. This is awesome for us. Now, little play mistake right there. Should have gone ahead and attached the Embercleave. That's an oopsie doopsie. We've got the Embercleave back though. So once this attack either goes through or gets blocked, we can attach it to the elf, and you know, it's some opportunity lost for sure, but we're still feeling comfortable at this stage of the game. They are getting a little flooded, it looks like. They're already on 6 mana. However, they can make 1/1s. Oof. And then the Tribunal hits, and the Embercleave gets exiled. So we're just going to have to do this straight up. Here, we're going to kill the Soul Warden because we are done with that. We've got the other Domri. We can play it and the Spellbreaker in the exact same turn. Of course, we are going to go completely out of cards in our hand at this moment, but, you know, what can you do? They've got a 1/1 on the battlefield. We've got a lot of power. We're going to take it up there because we don't really care about that 1/1. We doubt they're going to block. They're probably going to try and get a second one so that they can at least double block on the elf and keep that creature from attacking. So we just go ahead and deal with one. Might as well. It's going to keep our 3 from attacking that turn because we don't want to lose that. But our 5 is going to get to swing through. They're at 1 now, and our Burning Tree is going to hit. Unless they've got a board wipe at this point, we've got a very good chance of winning this, especially because we had upticked our Domri so much that we can downtick it a second turn in a row, and we win the best of 3 against a deck that we probably should not have beat. As you can see, the deck, when it gets set up correctly, is capable of some very quick wins, and that's what I like to do when I'm trying to ladder. I like to play quickly, I like to play aggro decks, either win or lose, and get out of there. Really appreciate you watching. Like I said, if you wouldn't mind hitting like, hitting subscribe, it really helps us out. If you want to support us further, we've got a Patreon. The link is down in the description below. And don't forget that we are streaming twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursday evenings, over on Twitch if you want to come hang out. Appreciate it. Let me know if you're playing this deck in Pioneer Historic. Let me know what you're playing in Historic because I want to see it. I'll talk to you soon. Later.